You have to love people. You have to value people, because if you don't, no one's going to want to work with you. No one's going to want to work for you. How can you be successful? How can people listen to you? How can you share with them your ideals? How can you share with them your goals? Hey guys, welcome back to the Leadership Stack Podcast, the podcast for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs to increase your leadership, teamwork, and profits. This is your host, Sean C., aka Mr. CEO at 22. I'm going to read the question from Patrick. What are the top 5 principles you live by? Top 5 principles. There's a lot of principles that I live by, and most of it you can find in the Bible. Number 1, of course, is love the Lord your God. If you don't love God, where's your moral compass? What is right and wrong for you? What for you is right? What for you is wrong? You can't say. If you don't love God, ang hirap naman sabihin na, I don't like lying just because I don't like lying. Lying, I think, is bad. Why? Why do you think it's bad? It's hard to define morality when you don't know God and when you don't love God. So for me, a sense of morality is very, very important. My RMP results as well is I'm a high honor person, so honor is very important for me. RMP, or Risk Motivation Profile, is a profiling psychometric system that is scientifically backed. So I took it. I actually am a certified facilitator of it, and I'm a high honor guy. So honor is very important for me. Top 1 principle, love the Lord your God. Second, love others. You have to love people. You have to value people, because if you don't, no one's going to want to work with you. No one's going to want to work for you. How can you be successful? How can people listen to you? How can you share with them your ideals? How can you share with them your goals? We live in a world full of people. The world is run by people. The world goes round because there are people in it. So you have to realize that early on, because you can't be a one-man team. You can't be that in success. You can't be that in life. That's why we have to have social life, a healthy social life. So love God, love others. And third, have a one-man person principle. Who you are at home or who you are in private, make sure you're the same person when facing other people in public. Ang hirap naman nun when you go home and your wife and kids look at you and say, wow, you're a very different person here at home. And you're a very, very nice person there on stage or with other people or in the office. But here, you're angry and you always correct us and there's no love. It's hard to be that kind of a person. So I guess the third principle would be the one-man principle. Fourth principle would be generous. I always tell people, if you're not giving till it hurts, you're not giving enough. There was a time, I'm not sure if it was this year or last year, when I really, God was nudging my heart to give to a servant in church. The thing that God wanted me to give is a second-hand SUV. And I prayed about it. And I knelt down, I prayed with my wife, and finally we decided to buy a second-hand SUV. And we made sure that it's in prime condition. We made sure that everything's okay. Pina-check pa namin bago kukunin. Lahat, papeles, everything. And kakilala din. I made sure na sa kakilala namin bibilhin. So maayos lahat. I bought it out of faith. Di ko na pinalipas maraming oras. I gave it to the church servant. And he's also a good friend of mine. Love what he's doing. After I did that, the months to come were the best months for the business. I would say it's amazing how God has provided for me, my family, how God has provided for the business as well. Even through the pandemic, all the plans that He helped us to think about, to adjust on what we're going to do for our organization, it can only come from God. So, generosity. If you're not giving until it hurts, you're not giving enough. What would be my fifth principle? Maybe simply work hard. Work as hard as you can while you can. So give it your best. So the thing about working is you don't need to exasperate your health. You don't need to sacrifice your health for it. When I say work hard, it doesn't mean that you work until you get cancer or you work until you don't get enough sleep. Sleep is important. I would not sacrifice my sleep to work extra hard. So when I say work hard, what I mean is do your best. Give it your best shot. Make sure that you're hitting the strategic points that you must be hitting, and you delegate those that are not super important that you personally have to do it. Definitely do that, because in the Bible it also says that whatever you do, whether you eat and drink, do it all for the glory of God. I think that especially applies to when you work, because when you work, you put in the effort. That is something that you can offer as a sacrifice to God. And for me, that's super important. So give it your best, work hard. That is something that also not a lot of people abide by. For them, doing enough is okay. And those kinds of people, unfortunately, I would say, mahirap. It's very difficult for them to find success. Maybe they would never find success. Maybe they'll just get by, but not really be successful. Diba? Because a lot of hard work goes into success. A lot of failure goes into success. If you're not willing to fail and work hard, it's hard to find success. From Monster Wings, Sir Sean, what leadership habits you follow? Do you follow? When you say habits, is what you do every day automatically without thinking about it. I guess one of the things that I do every day that for me is important when it comes to leadership is without thinking, I pick up my Bible and read without thinking. Honestly, this has become a habit for me because I've been doing it for a very, very long time. So I pick up my Bible, I read 1, 2 chapters, sometimes 3 chapters a day. Usually it's just 1 chapter a day. And for me, that is a leadership habit because your spiritual walk, I mean, we are not just flesh and blood, we have spirits. You and I, we are spiritual beings as well. We cannot deny that. We cannot push that away. We cannot say it's false because we feel it. We know it deep inside. And if you don't take care of that, your leadership with other people will crumble. Because guess what? The best leader is not John Maxwell. Even, God bless him. Super galing niya. But it's not John Maxwell. The best leader is not Patrick Lencioni. It's not Dave Ramsey. It's not all of these figures. The best leader who ever walked this world and changed history, literally splitting it into two, which is after death and before Christ, is Jesus Christ. He is the best leader. He didn't make money. He did ministry and had 12 disciples whom he spent most of his time with. And a lot of those disciples went out and changed the world. All the way here to the Philippines, we know the gospel. We know what he did for us. We have the Bible. That kind of leadership that influenced the entire world is something to behold and is something I would like to learn from. So I guess that habit of reading the Bible every day is a leadership habit that I do practice and follow. Are there other leadership practices that I follow? I read. I read books. When you don't read, you don't fill yourself up with new things that you can teach or that you can apply in your life. How can you lead? How will people follow you? How are you one step ahead? Because if you're not one step ahead, then you're in line with the others. You're not really leading. You're in line with them. But when you lead, other people are following. You have to be steps ahead. 1 step, 2 step, 3 steps. How can you be that way when there's nothing new coming into you? So earlier today, I actually had a podcast recording and I learned a lot from that guy. He's an IT guy, went into HP, also worked 5 years. Pinopromote ahead ko na yung episode na to, no? Pero lalabas to mga December or January pa. Pero ang ganda ng episode. I learned a lot from this guy and he talked about scaling up. From a startup entrepreneur, napapagod ka, you feel the burden. Suddenly things are not as exciting for you because there's a lot of things that you have to do like legal and accounting. You have to implement systems. Dapat may process na. Hindi na pwedeng mag-delegate ka lang, no? Hindi na pwedeng wild, wild west. So this guy talks about how you implement vision, culture, processes, etc. to the business. And he's an IT guy. He's a programmer. So ang ganda ng episode. Because from a programmer, suddenly became a coach and consultant. So I learned a lot from that. That's how I grow. And if you're not growing, how can you lead? Question from Jazz. I like reading, but when it comes to reading books about business, as much as I want to learn, I end up feeling sleepy. What advice could you give? Read Patrick Lencioni's books about teams. So you can read The Truth About Employee Engagement, I think was the title. It's the first book of his that I've read. And The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. It's in story, para siyang fiction story. Nagkukwento lang si Patrick Lencioni about it, and there are characters there, fictional characters, and you learn from it. Or from R.D. Roberto, The Happy Entrepreneur. Personally, I haven't read it, but I've heard amazing raving feedback about the book, and it's in Taglish. He features some amazing people, businessmen like Mr. Gokongwei is there, Paulo Tibig is there. I suggest you start probably with The Happy Entrepreneur. That's the name of the book. It's a yellow book, The Happy Entrepreneur. Buy it. It's in his website, rdroberto.com. Check it out. I'm sure you will finish that book. I'm pretty sure you'll finish that book.